David? Oh, Jim?
Okay, yeah, let me thank all of you for a terrific job. And it sounds like all three of the breakout groups were particularly productive. I have to say, I feel a lot more optimistic moving forward than I did at 8:30 a.m. this morning. So it's been an interesting day, but before you two guys just made the point, I had jotted down one of the things I was going to comment on is I do think it would be worth considering possibly revisiting this topic with a broader participation sometime in the relatively near future. So I'll just mention a couple of things that have resonated with me today. The continued emphasis on the relevance of the Sustainable Development Goals, the need to strengthen the evidence base came through very clearly, I think, in our breakout group, and it sounded like in the other two as well. The need to include health in all policies, the need for community engagement in planning, to get the local experts involved, but also to engage policymakers, empowerment of women, my continued feeling that we need to place emphasis on collaboration across disciplines and sectors, and again, in my mind, that's very consistent with the One Health approach. Promotion of equity, moving beyond disease-specific solutions, revisiting possibly the workshop, and then finally thinking about return on investment very broadly. So those are my closing thoughts.
Thank you all for participating, and again, thank you for all of your contributions, speakers and all participants. Thank you. David?
I will just, I'll add.
Yes.
Do you queue up my 20-slide set?
Yeah.
No,
You're going to reminisce about it.
I'm going to go back over the last just 17 years. There was something a little bit different about this workshop, though, than previous workshops. I just wanted to just make an observation and if you can reflect. For me, there was much more talk about, where theory meets reality, where, with the end game, with measuring impact and actually doing something. And I'm struck by what Alex said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I think that's something that we could keep in mind more generally. But of course, it's not either or. We can continue working on better, implement better measures and interventions at the same time that we're mindful about pushing hard on things that we know ought to work. There was a certain sense in emphasizing the, where the rubber meets the road part of this problem that we might already know what we need to know. And it's really now a question of just doing the science of implementation rather than other kinds of science. And I just wanted to maybe make a small plea that I think while the known things are being pushed and done, that there are, bless you, other aspects of basic science that might very quickly help decision-making about which of these 3 or 4 options makes most sense. And I'll just give you a couple of examples. In ecology, there's a lot of experimental study that focuses on process, ecological process, and one of them is dispersal. How does dispersal occur? What are the environmental circumstances that favor dispersal over other forms of community, microbial or macro community evolution and adaptation? Well, I think could be some really interesting, if well formulated and made specific kinds of studies that would address that in this particular setting. And likewise, I think in engineering science, there are some interesting tests and hypotheses that could be asked with more basic aspects of intervention that might help decision-making again. So, yeah, but I think this was a really nice way of framing a workshop, and I'd certainly urge those of you who are continuing to do these to have more like this with this kind of focus and feel as well as the other, where you step back and talk about, the molecular mechanism of that lies at the heart of a problem that's many steps back along that continuum. That's interesting too, but it's all a question of balance. But thank you all for what I thought was a really interesting, valuable couple days, and I look forward to reading about what you come up with and the next steps you take. I think it's all really important. So thank you.
And thank you, David, for many, many years of service.